How to use the taxi to get around Singapore. Welcome to another adventure with Getting Lost. Today we're doing something different. We're going to do an informational video here to actually tell you how to use the taxi, which is a form of public transport in Singapore, to get around Singapore. So join me after this intro to find out more about it. What is a taxi? First of all, a taxi is actually a motor vehicle, most likely a car, a sedan car, which is licensed to transport passengers in return for payment, and typically is fitted with a taximeter. And the taxi service is actually one of the forms of public transport in Singapore, and there's many different taxi companies in Singapore. So let's start with how to recognize whether the taxi is available for you to be hired. Okay, first of all, to identify whether this is a taxi, you need to look at the roof. If the car has a LED screen on the roof itself, then it is a taxi. So the taxi, the roof itself will have some wording. If it's green in color, that means it's ready to be hired. If it's red, that means that it's busy or is already hired. Okay. So what you do is, if you are in the CBD area, the Central Business District, or busy streets like this street in Orchard Road, you will have to head to a taxi stand to actually get a taxi. If you're in a quiet street, you can actually hail the cab from the street side. And a few things to note: the taxi itself are not able to actually stop at and pick up passengers at bus stops, busy streets, and for this you have to go to the taxi stand itself. So that's one thing to note. Okay, so let's just start with some of the LED messages on the screen that is on top of the roof of the taxi. Okay, first of all, I told you earlier, look for the green color LED messages. Okay, the first one you see here is taxi, meaning that this taxi is available for you to actually hire him to actually take this taxi. Another one you see may be shift or name of a place. That means that this taxi itself is going to change shift and is heading to that one direction only. Other LED messages, the one that is red in color, the one that means that, for example, this one here, which is busy, which means that the taxi driver is not available to take your hire. That means you're not able to take you in the taxi. Another one here is hired, which means that someone is already in the taxi itself. And lastly, on call. On call means that they actually have a booking and they're actually looking for that person to pick that booking up. Next up, in every taxi, there is actually a meter where it will tell you how much you have to pay for the fare. Okay, a few things you need to take note of when you actually take a taxi in Singapore. The fare itself, once you get in the fare, you already charge a flat down rate of a certain amount, and then for every distance you travel, you are actually charged an additional amount until you reach your destination. And there are also other surcharges that may be added to the fare itself. If you take the taxi during the peak period, okay, there will be an additional 25% to the metered fare. If you are taking it during the late night, which is midnight to 6 a.m. the next morning, there's an extra 50% to the metered fare. If you are taking a taxi from the CBD area, okay, there will be a charge of $3. And if you are going through any ERP gantry, you'll be charged the gantry fee. And lastly, if you're taking the taxi itself from Changi Airport, there'll be additional $5 or $3 depending on the timing. So you can look at this table which I put up here. You can actually this gives you most of the information. Also, at the taxi stand, you can either queue at the taxi stand, or you can take note of the location number here, which is for this particular taxi stand, which is E08. You can either call the taxi company hotline or make a booking through an application. Yes, some of the taxi companies actually have application where you can actually make taxi bookings, or like I said earlier, they have hotline numbers that you can call to actually book a taxi. But when you book a taxi, there is actually a booking fee. Here is the booking fee here. If you make a booking during the peak hour, it will be $3.30 extra to the fare. If you do it other timing, it's at $2.30. And I also included a list of all the hotline numbers that you can actually call the taxi companies directly to actually make a booking of the taxi. For this, you also need to know the location you're at and certain features about booking taxis. Okay, because taxi drivers are not able to pick up passengers at bus stops, so you are not able to actually book a taxi at bus stops. So normally what you can do is you can ask them to go to the driveway of buildings or hotel. Okay, you can actually book a taxi to actually ask them to pick you up at the hotel itself, or like for example busy roads like Orchard Road. Okay, you're not able to hail a taxi on the road itself or book a taxi to pick you up on the road. What you can do instead, you can ask them to like come into one of the shopping centers to pick up passengers, or even better, at shopping centers itself there are taxi stands there. You can actually ask them to pick you up there or join the queue. Okay, but also note that in the busy shopping areas the queue will be quite long, so either you need to pay the extra fee for the booking fee so that you can get a taxi faster, or join the queue. Also, taxi stands also look slightly different. This is another version of a taxi stand where there is no like barrier there, it's just at the side of the road. But how you know it's a taxi stand? You can see there's a location number, this one here, which is E15. Okay, and then there's a sign there with the word taxi there, and then they also tell you how many taxis can stop there. So basically this is mainly a taxi stop. That means the taxi can actually pick up passengers and alight but cannot wait there. Also, another tip for you, for those people who watch my video, when you're taking taxis in Singapore, what I suggest for you to do is try to go for the taxis that are blue in color, which the one is passing by here now. The rooftop is blue in color, or yellow, or red, because the flag down rate for these taxis are cheaper than certain other taxis, like the Mercedes taxi, which is the white color one, or the 6-seater. That one will have a higher flag down rate. Another hot tip for those people who are actually watching my video: if you're in Singapore and you want a cheaper alternative to than getting a taxi ride, what you can do is you can actually hire a private hire shared car. Okay, so to do that, what you need to do is you need to download this application called Grab. It's similar to Uber, but unfortunately Uber is no longer operating in Singapore anymore. There may be a new operators coming in, but at the moment Grab is the biggest operator here in Singapore, and you can get this Grab application from your App Store or your Play Store. Okay, download this application, and so go to your phone, launch your Grab application. Okay, once you launch it, the Grab application itself will use GPS to find the nearest pickup point for you. It'll give it to you as a suggestion. So for here is where I was at that time. That was the nearest pickup point. Another way I can do it, if I not want this pickup point, I can actually type in the location where I want him to pick me up. Okay, so for me, I want to be picked up at Far East Shopping Centre, so I select that one. Okay, another way you can do it is, besides that, you can also select the location from the map itself. So you select here, and it will show you the map, and you just click on the map itself where you want to be picked up. Okay, after that, you need to select your destination you're going to. Okay, for me, I want to go to City Hall. Okay, so I click City Hall and select City Hall. Once I do that, okay, it will be automatically calculated for me the route and how much the fare will be. Okay, but please take note, this fare doesn't include ERP charges. Okay, And then I can also select an extra location. So I can select extra location, and once you select the extra location, you'll notice that the fare will also change according to that. Once you press the book button, the app itself will search around for the nearest car, and once they get the car, they'll tell you the estimated time of arrival and also the car plate number. So please take note of the car plate number because you need to find the car when it comes, and on the map itself it will actually show you the location of the car and the direction it's coming from. So you can actually have a live map of the car coming to you. This option of private car hire has been quite popular because, and like I said earlier, it's cheaper because you don't have to pay, for example, like the peak hour surcharges or the flat down rate. So the price is cheaper. Sometimes it's as cheap as maybe 20 to 30% cheaper than a normal taxi ride. But you need to be careful of surge pricing. Those are times when there's high demand for the like the cars and taxis, and then so they'll charge you a very high price. And when surge pricing hits you, the price can be 3 to 4 times higher than normal, even higher than that sometimes. So during those timing, it will be better to try to get a normal taxi. But during these timings, it's also very difficult to get a normal taxi because a high demand. So you may decide to try other means of transport, like maybe taking the MRT or the public bus service. And the way to identify whether this is a private hire car is there will be a decal on the front and the back of the car. And when you see this decal, you know that this car itself is a private hire car. And now, for another way for you to get around the city, besides taking the normal public transport, is to get a share bike, like the people in front of you here. These are share bikes. There are 3 different companies, and here are the prices. So basically what you do is, normally at bus stops or at MRT stations, there will be a yellow box painted on the ground, and then people will actually park the share bikes here, and you can actually come here to actually get a share bike to ride around the city. What you normally do is you need to download the app for the bike company itself, go to the particular bike, and the bike itself, either on the wheel here, like for example here, will have an IR code, or at the handlebar itself, for this tip company, they have an IR code, and this will actually help you to actually unlock the lock so that you can actually rent this share bike. And with the share bike, you can actually ride around the city. It's healthier, you can get some fresh air, and it's cheap. And another tip for you, if you are maybe a tourist in Singapore and you want to actually take a shared bike, I may suggest for you to try the OFO bike, which is actually the yellow color bike, because there's no deposit to actually ride the bike, but the cost to hire the bike will be higher. And the most important thing, you must remember to lock back the bike after you have finished your ride, because if you don't, they'll keep charging you. And thank you very much for joining me for my video. I hope this was informational for you and you got a few good tips. In this video, I gave you a brief description of the taxi system, how to recognize whether the taxi is available, how to get a taxi, where to get a taxi, and the fares. And then I also told you about the shared car service under Grab. And then lastly, I told you about the shared bike. I hope this was the information you're looking for. And for those people who wants to, you can actually help me out by liking my video, sharing my video, and subscribing to my channel. And lastly, click the bell icon so that you get the latest information of when I upload to the next video. And don't forget to join me for my next adventure. Bye bye.